that. Good afternoon, a very warm welcome for all those who have joined today on a Saturday afternoon. Some basic housekeeping rules before we start. Since we all are working from home, there might be some net connectivity issues. In case the screen freezes or there is some issue with your net, please click the reconnect button, which is at the center of your screen. At the right side of your screen is the chat box. Just above the chat box is the sticky note. Please keep an eye on that. We will be pasting relevant messages at regular interval. Just below the chat box is the chat mode. Once you click on that, you will be able to select the option of mark as question. In case you have a question, please mark it as a question so that we don't miss out on any of your queries. You might come across a few queries while the session is still on. I would request you to kind of make a note of all your queries and we would answer them towards the end of the session. All of you might have received material to download for the current session. It has got a PDF, that is a worksheet, and teacher's notes. Now please remember that's only a sample worksheet for us to go through for today's session. We will be pasting the link to download material on the sticky note after some time. Please keep an eye on the sticky note as well. I can see a lot of good afternoon messages marked as questions. I would request you to please mark it as a question, only if it's a question, so that we don't miss out on any of those. Thank you so much. I'll hand over the platform to my colleague, Mr. Manish Puri. Manish, over to you.
Thank you, Anusha, for the housekeeping rules there, and a big welcome to everybody here. First of all, thank you for spending your weekend with us. And we promise we'll make it a very, very useful weekend for you. Today, you're all attending the Induction on Young Learners Resource Pack, which we have created as per feedback received from a lot of the teachers here. And again, we have teachers from, I think, all over India and also from parts of Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bangladesh and Maldives also. So welcome everybody again. So this pack here is a digital resource pack for the young learners. I hope you are all familiar with the Cambridge Young Learners English tests, which are for the primary students, age group 6+ to 12. And you have been nominated or you have requested to attend this workshop because you are involved in teaching the young learners the Cambridge YLE test at your institution, be it a school or a language school or a K-12 school. So based on your request that you needed something which could be used not only face-to-face but also as a digital resource for young learners. I mean, we are all aware during these times everything's happening on through the webinars, through the Zoom, through the Teams, and this pack will help you prepare your young learners through using the resources, and also can be used when you resume your classes. So it will solve both the purposes. So your candidates are ready by the time you start the school, start the face-to-face classroom, your candidates would be ready to give the young learners examination. This is just a part of the resource. You are all aware of the various other resources that we have on our website, which is cambridgeenglish.org. So lots more resources are available for learners, for teachers. You have resources for listening, reading, writing, speaking, audios, videos, games, activities, lots of which Cambridge offers as a free resource for the learners as well as the teachers of English. So not taking much of your time here, I would like to introduce here Miss Uma Raman. Ms. Uma Raman is the trainer for you today, and Ms. Uma Raman is Masters in English Language and Education with specialization in teaching English. And she's also done a trainer development course from Norwich, UK. And she's been a master trainer and examiner for Cambridge English examinations and doing workshops for teacher support in all over South Asia region. and this also involves developing material. This also involves working with the different age groups, right from the young learners to adults, and in the corporate sector. Also, producing corporate material for educational institutions. So she has been working very closely for education groups and institutions, and also corporates to develop materials here. Also, as part of the senior training consultant with English partnerships at the British Council, she has trained hundreds of teachers across many states and countries as a consultant. So I would now like to hand over to Ms. Umaram. Over to you, ma'am. You're on mute. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all of you. I know it's going to be challenging doing this thing on the online platform, but I think it's good experience for us because moving forward, I think many of you will be spending a lot of time in front of your computers trying to teach children and hoping that your teaching is effective. I won't take up much. I'm going to start off immediately, but let's first start with a little warmer. You have a chat box there in front of you. I just want you all to key in your favorite fast food. What is your favorite fast food? Just key it in. Anusha, can you see the responses?
Yes, ma'am, I can. It's yet to come. Pizza,
Yeah.
burgers,
Okay.
pizza again, pani puri,
Okay.
pasta, fried rice, noodles, burger, KFC.
Oh, right. Lots of pizzas coming up. Noodles seem to be also very right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, let me finish this activity and then I'll tell you how to convert it into a activity in your classrooms. Great. My next question to you is, how do you spend your free time? How do you spend your free time? I can see a lot of vadai, chai, pizza. Pizza seems to be quite popular. Pizza, okay. Reading books, listening to music, meditation. Oh, that's a great. Reading. Many of you have said reading and listening to music. Some of you have said cooking, gardening. Right. Next one, your favorite sport. What's your favorite sport? I like someone who said driving around the city. Great. Someone has said no free time. Okay, cricket, badminton. Right. Wonderful. Okay, my last question to you all. Your favorite book or author? Your favorite book or author? No free time. Okay. That's your favorite author or book. Either way. Okay, Ruskin Bond, Amitav Ghosh, Kalki, right? Shakespeare, Tagore. Oh, Chetan Bhagat, J.K. Rowling. Did I see Tolkien somewhere? Someone has written. Okay. Right. Excellent. Now, if I was doing this on a platform like Zoom, I would have actually done breakaway rooms and put you all together of groups of 5. And then I would have asked you all to discuss your favorite food, your pastime, sport, or author. Of course, you could change depending on the level of your children. This is an excellent way to start a speaking lesson, where you get children to talk about something which is, yeah, I also love Enid Blyton. Whoever has put it there, great. I love Enid Blyton. I still read her. So this is one way you could begin your speaking lesson in your classes. Having said that, what color okay, suppose you can express your mood in any one of the colors. And I'm giving you the colors: gray, green, purple, red, and blue. What is the mood you are in? Just put in your mood by just keying in your color. The colors are gray, blue, orange, green. Okay, someone has written black. You can put in any color as long as it expresses your mood. Okay, someone has said purple. Many of you have said green. Right. Now, please remember this. At the end of today's session, we're going to get back to our mood and see if there is a change in your mood. Either for the better or for the worse, we'll know at the end of the day. Right. Thank you very much. Now, this is not, you're all already teaching. So this is not, I'm not going to be talking about how to teach or teaching skills, nothing of that sort, because I know you're already there. What we are going to do is, this resource pack has been created, as Anusha said, keeping in mind, and Manish said, keeping in mind the feedback we have got from most of the teachers teaching students for young learners. Based on that, we have created this learners resource pack, and it says 40 hours there. 40 hours is advisable. It is not cast in cement. You may want to do this whole program in 60 hours. You may want to do it in 30 hours. It doesn't matter. One. Second, which is very, I think from the teacher perspective, it's very important, is whatever skills and whatever activities are given in this resource pack, whether it is for listening, reading, writing, or speaking, those same activities you can transfer to general English teaching in your classes. It doesn't have to be restricted to young learners. All the activities will fit in very beautifully in a primary classroom, right? Okay. Now, what is a resource pack? This resource pack is absolutely activity based. So lots and lots of activities for each of the skills you will be doing. And you can use this resource pack for face-to-face training, and you can also use it for online training. When you look at the teacher's notes little later on, we will have a look at that. You will realize there are two columns given in your teacher notes, one when you do face-to-face and one directions when you do online. However, here I need to mention to you that an online platform ideally suited for you will be platforms where you can have breakout rooms and where children can show through their camera whatever they have done, and you are able to hear your children. It's very important. It can't be one way. I mean, this particular one is a webinar. Mine is, I'm talking to you all, and my assumption is that you can hear me, right? I'm assuming you can hear me, because the only way you can get in touch with me is putting something in the chat box. But in actual online training or teaching children, it's very important you're visible to each other. So keep this in mind, and please tell your school authorities to ensure you get the proper platform to do these classes in. The teacher notes are very simple and easy, and they are broken up, and they give instructions in a very simple manner. It is not talking down. Please don't assume simplicity means talking down. No, it's very simple language which all of us will be able to understand, and there is no room for ambiguity. There's no confusion. Again, I must tell you, timings given in the trainer notes is only something which we say you should be doing it in. But you are the best judge. It depends on your students. It depends on your class strength. It depends on, your class timetable. Suppose, for example, your school has a 30-minute period and we are saying this activity needs 2 hours. You'll say, ma'am, but 2 hours, I can't do it in 30 minutes. No, don't do it. Break it up. See that you take that full 2 hours and break up this activity into periods. So these are things which you will be absolutely, thinking about when you start working on. There is a lot of content. There are videos. There are plenty of worksheets. There are lots of past papers. Now, please remember, videos, past papers, and some of the worksheets are already available to you in your Cambridge link. The reason we have put it all together here is for you, it makes it easier. You don't have to go searching. Everything is in one place in this resource pack. Whether it is for movers, flyers, or starters, everything is there in one pack. You don't have to sit in front of a computer and say, okay, let me use this worksheet. Where is the video to go with this worksheet? I don't know. Well, I'll use this worksheet for audio. I don't know where the audio is. You don't have to worry. Everything is there. We have tried to break up the learning into 35-40 minutes, as I just told you before, but it depends on you and your schools. There are lots of resources for teachers to practice with children. You have lots of extra resources given, which you can use not only when training students for YLE, but as I told you earlier, even in general English classes. The other thing which is very important, especially when you're doing online, is with young children especially, many a time the parents may be sitting with them. So there are some guidelines for parents, and there is some material which parents can also use with their own children at home when they want to. Right. Now, who is this pack for? Obviously, it's meant for you, teachers who are going to be using it. It's also meant for learners. And of course, for an online module, there are lots of things which are also meant for parents. And the pack is for 3 levels: the starters, the movers, and the flyers. They are each level is independent. I mean, pre-A1 starters isn't to be confused with movers or flyers. They stand alone. But it comes in one resource pack, and you, if you're a teacher teaching all levels, excuse me, you can use the pack which you want at that moment. So you have the pack, the 40-hour pack is divided into 40 hours, of course, but divided between teachers and candidates. So you have the teacher support pack, which teachers and trainers can use. And you have the candidate support pack meant for learners and parents. That means when you're doing an online teaching, you can send this pack to all the parents whose children are going to appear for the exam. If you're doing face-to-face, you can give this to both parents. And of course, the children will have it because they need the worksheet. Then we come to the teacher support pack, which I think for most of us is the most important part of any material which we get, whether we get the Cambridge text series of textbooks or any other publisher. What most teachers look for is the teacher's handbook along with that. And it is not just, I'm talking in a lighter vein because I know I've been a teacher and I know what we used to look for. We were so lazy. We never used to want to work out the problems ourselves. We wanted the solution. So we used to take the handbook and look at the answers. So we used to do that, but now there's much more. Over the years, when we talk about a teacher's handbook, it's much more. It gives you ideas of how to set up a classroom. It gives you clues on classroom management, what kind of grouping you need to do, etc., etc. Now, the teacher's support pack as you can look at this, has a handbook for teachers, which is again available in the Cambridge website. You can download the handbook for teachers from the Cambridge website, but we have put it down into this pack, so you don't have to worry. We have an information booklet, which is also available on the website, but we've put it into this so that you children, parents, and you have the information to candidates and parents at your fingertips. And then you have the manual for young learners resource pack. That is what you will be using when you start teaching young learners using the resource pack. And then lots and lots and lots of additional teaching resources, right? Somebody has said blur. I mean, I don't know whether the sound is not clear. Am I clear?
Very clear.
Yes,
Audible
ma'am.
very clear.
Right. Okay. Right. Thank you. Now, this manual for young learners pack, which is going to be the backbone or the spine of the resource pack, to explain it further, is available both for teachers as a support pack and for candidates as a candidate support pack. And both will be very useful to you. So as a teacher, you're going to have the manual of TSP, but you may also want to keep a copy of the CSP with you, just for you to see at any given time what is actually the candidate doing, or what are my students doing. Lots and lots of, I'm talking very confidently about it because I spent many, many hours putting these worksheets, these handouts and everything together in a very, very simple format. And Anusha has spent, I don't know how many hours putting it into this beautiful pack. I'm so delighted with the way this whole pack has come up. And I know about the worksheets and all, and she's done such a good job that I now feel like getting into the class and starting to work with the kids. Lots and lots of worksheets. When you have a look at it, you'll just see how many worksheets there are and how much you can use, not just for, as I told you, for YLE, but you can use the same very worksheets for your general English too. Now, within the modules, you have, for example, YLE starters, you have listening, reading, and writing, speaking. Similarly for movers and similarly for flyers. So in your resource pack for teachers, there are worksheets separately for listening, separate for reading, writing, and speaking. But it is numbered chronologically. So beginning with the listening, it goes on to the speaking worksheets. But if you decide, no, I don't want to do listening today, or I don't want to begin with listening, I want to do reading and writing, no problem. You click on the relevant worksheet, it will open up. This numbering is more to make sure that we know that everything is in order. Any questions so far? Right, let's move forward. Now, these are the worksheets. As you can see on one side of that scanned PDF paper, you have worksheets numbered. And then on the other side, there is a statement which says the worksheets can either be worked online. Now, this is for you or for your students when they work online. So there is one teacher who is asked, where can you get this from? You will know at the end of it. Anusha will tell you where you can get the pack from. But if I am not mistaken, the packs will be sent to schools who register for these exams, whether it's YLE starters, flyers, or movers. It can be downloaded and printed individually, and it can the worksheets could also be downloaded at one go.
Yes, ma'am. If I may step in about
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
How do they download or how will they have an access to this material? First of all, it's a complimentary material. As ma'am said, it's only for those schools who are registering for young learners, and it will be sent as a zip folder to all those schools and they can have an access to candidate support pack as well as teacher support pack for all three levels. You'll have to
Thank
get
you,
in touch
Anush.
with the point of contact from Cambridge. That's the only thing that you need to do, and we will ensure that you have the pack with you. Yes,
Great.
ma'am. Carry on.
Thanks, Anusha. Right. Now, what are the types of worksheets which you're going to have a look at? Ideally, I would like to have linked. Yeah. So here, Anusha has already done for me. Now, look at these three worksheets. They are for listening. There is one worksheet. If you look at these worksheets, first of all, because it is online, okay, Prasanna Lakshmi, there is one question, Anusha, who's asked, can we access directly to register my kid for YLE? I think these are some questions which you can put up to Cambridge directly and they will definitely respond. So now, if you look at this, when you do online, looking at the activity sheets and in the exam, I must tell you, in the YLE exams, the activity sheets are always in color. So children are delighted to work with that. And for them, it is a fun certification. They enjoy doing the YLE. So keeping that in mind, and if you make learning fun, automatically children's learning, the quantum of material they absorb definitely increases. So this is one. In this worksheet, children have to listen to the audio and follow instructions. So there is a link to the audio for this. You don't have to go running and say, oh, audio, where do I find an audio? I do that. Even now with all these links which are sent to me, I keep searching. I spend so much of my time wasting trying to find out where things are. You don't have to. With this kind of a pack in front of you, you'll just be able to get onto the audio. Now they can use a line or an arrow or a pencil tool. If they're working online, they can use a line or they can use arrow which is there with the cursor, or they can use the pencil tool which will be available to them. And that is why I'm again reiterating to you, please make sure you use the right online platform to do this training. How to activate tools for worksheet? Anusha, I'm going to hand them over to you. Could you please look at, get them through the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please. Yeah.
Yes. Now, there are various videos that are available in your manual. For this worksheet, we have picked up one video as sample. Now, since we are running this through Webinar Jam, the audio or the video may not be clear, but don't worry, when you play it directly on your screen, the audio as well as the video is absolutely clear. So here I'm going to run one video wherein it says about how to activate tools for worksheets. It's a walkthrough video which is available in your manual, and that will be shared with the parents as well. I'm going to play the video for you. How to activate tools for worksheets. In order to answer this worksheet, candidates have to listen to the audio and follow instructions. Candidates can click here and listen to the audio, or there will be instruction from the teacher in terms of how audio would be played. Once you click on this link, audio will come up in a separate tab. Next, in order to respond to this worksheet, candidate has to draw lines. How do we do that? There are various tools available which the candidates can use, such as the line tool, the arrow tool, or a pencil tool. Now let's look at how to activate these tools. Click View on the menu bar. Select Tools. Select Comment and select Open. This will bring up the comment bar which has the line tool, arrow tool, and the pencil tool. Let's look at how to use the arrow tool. Select arrow. Take your cursor to the desired place. Click, drag, and drop. Once again, select arrow. Take your cursor to the desired place. Click, drag, and drop. Same functionality is available for pencil and the line tool. To erase an arrow, select the arrow and click the delete button on your keyboard. Now let's look at how to change the thickness of the arrow tool. Select arrow, click the three buttons, select change line thickness, move it and close it. As you can see, the thickness of the arrow is now changed. Same functionality is available again for pencil tool and the line tool.
Is that? Yeah. Anusha, am I on?
Yes, ma'am, you're on.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right. Okay, there is one of the questions asked was, which is the best time to conduct YLE classes? First hour, last hour, after school hours, or any particular time? Well, first of all, let me put it like this. I wouldn't recommend after school hours. I don't think our children physically, mentally would like to sit back, however fun the classes may be, to have an additional hour of formal teaching. Ideally, if I were in your school and I was a teacher teaching English, I would integrate these YLE activities into my regular classrooms so that I really do not have to take additional classes. What I would like to do is maybe once in 2 weeks have a special session where to go through only the format of the test with them. For example, I'm doing a lot of listening work in class, using these activities for listening and all that. Then after about 2 weeks of this, I would do the listening sample test with the children to see how effective the work has been. I mean, that is my personal opinion, because I'm one teacher who hates to give extra hours of, making children stay back, come back, extra hour on Saturday when they would love to be out in the open playing, especially in this COVID times, then they're just waiting to go out and breathe air and all that. So you have to just balance what you're doing, and you try, if you have a 40 minutes general English class, plan your lessons with other colleagues of yours in such a way that 30 minutes you spend on what you're doing with the textbook or whatever it is, and then 10 minutes you're able to touch on some activity which is very, very pertinent to YLE, but which is also linked to your general English class. So that is something which you could look on. Right. I'm sure you found this very. Now we are going to go through teachers' notes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Anusha to just put up the teacher's notes of one level, one skill. She's just going to go through it without, we're not going to make any comment or anything. We just read it as she puts it up. At the end of it, I'm going to take one of the sessions from the notes she's shown you, and I'm going to take you through that as to how you can use the teacher's notes and the activity in your classes. Right? Are you ready? Anusha, you can take them through any one level.
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
And any one skill you want to, for them to have an idea how the teacher's notes look like.
Sure, ma'am. I'm going to share screen. Please let me know if you can see this. I have teacher support pack on screen. So the first thing that you can see is the teacher's notes. I'm going to click on that. Yeah. So there are separate teacher's notes for listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So once you come to this slide or this page, you also have a PowerPoint presentation for the corresponding level, and you have handouts. I'm going to click on listening teacher's notes. I'll have to unshare my screen and share it again because this teacher's notes opens up in a drive. I hope you all can see. Now, since this is shared on screen, the font and the visibility is small, but then you would have received one set of teacher's notes. Please download it and keep it ready. Ma'am, would you like to take over from here?
Anusha, I will. Thank you.
Yes,
so
thank
now
you.
this is how the teacher's notes look like. As Anusha said, the font when you see it on is rather small. And for people like me, it becomes very difficult to read. So, but don't worry. What you do is I have sent you one session of a movers speaking session. It's a session 2, ideally. Just download only the teacher's notes. Don't worry about anything. I'm just going to take you through the format of the teacher's notes so that it's very clear to you. Okay, don't worry about what you've downloaded. Please go back to the screen. If you look at the screen, you will see 4 columns, right? And the first column tells you the session number and timings. I'm again going to repeat this. Session number ideally goes through in a easy to difficult order. So session 3 will be a little bit more challenging than session 2 in some of the levels. But it also follows the pattern of the Wiley test. So the order of the tests, for example, listening, what children have to do in part 1, part 2, part 3 comes in that order. So the earlier sessions will deal with part 1, the later sessions with part 2, final sessions with part 3, and the last session will deal with the sample test. So that's how this complete thing has been put as far as the sessions and timings go. Then we come to, Anusha, can you just scroll up a little bit? Little bit, if you can. No, a little lower. No, I want to see that. Okay, go back to what it was. Go back to what you showed. Yeah, let it be there. Then if you look at the second one, the second is the stage and the aim, the stages and the aim of the session. Now, Cambridge test, all tests, starting from Wiley, right up to the top, which is the CPE, in terms of certification, every test, every part of the test has a purpose, has a linguistic purpose. Nothing is done, oh, children love it, so let's just do it. Nothing of that sort. Lot of research, lot of work has gone on in designing the test itself, and each test has a focus. So for example, I'm going to get back to correction of work. We as English teachers, we tend to correct every mistake we hear or see or read. But that just gets dissipated in the air. Like a piece of ice, it just melts. Nothing gets stuck to the child. But suppose you decide that with this boy, Jayant, he speaks well, but he's making a lot of mistakes, and you start focusing on only one type of error the child makes. Let's say the child has a problem in using singular and plural. If you focus only on those, then you'll say, okay, I need to do this particular activity because the objective of this activity is to be very clear about the use of singular and plural. So like that, each part of the test has an aim, which is the part of the session aim. So part of your session aim will be that. And then the next one will be, you will see what materials are required. And there's another column where again it's written what materials are required. So if you go back to the first row, the right in the dark purple, the third column is when you do this, use this material for a classroom teaching. And the fourth column is when you will be using this material for an online classroom. For example, in many of the online classroom work, we ask you to warn the parents, to send a mail to the parents that these are the material which we will be requiring for this class. So that is the top four. Then we come to the actual material. Can you scroll up a little bit up now so that we come lower down?
Yes, ma'am.
Little bit to the first part, the white of the beginning of the white color. Yeah. So if you look at this is the start of a session. On the extreme left, you have what is called 10 minutes. Again, I am because I'm very, very sensitive to time. I hate people putting pressure on me. And I'm sure you all don't like it. And I don't like to read this. 10 minutes, you have only 10 minutes. Yeah, I know we have 10 minutes, so we'll make the best of it. So you also need to know, this is an approximate time given to you. Then it tells you what the children are going to do. They're going to do an activity. The aim of this particular activity is to make sure you set up a good environment for learning. So it's like a warmer which we do in our right at the beginning. And then we have the procedure which is given. The first procedure is for face-to-face. The second is for online. So if you read the first one, it talks about greeting the students, insist on the students greeting you loudly, ask students randomly 1 or 2 questions about one of the following topics, ask about 7 or 8 different students. Now these are all suggestions. There is nothing that you have to do it like this. You may want to talk to them about something else. For example, if today I was conducting a class like this, I would like to talk to them about why did Royal Challengers Bangalore lose children? What happened? And you will have all the children giving you lots and lots of answers. So, you know what you have to do as a teacher, but that's what the procedure is. Now, if you go to the last column, you will find, you have to first make sure, like, Manish told me, ma'am, your audio is muted, etc., etc. This is what you need to make sure the children have not muted their audio or their video, because you need to listen to them and you need to want to see what they are doing. So this is given there right throughout, and you may say, why are they doing it again and again? Everywhere they've written the same thing. The reason is sometimes you and I, we forget. In our enthusiasm to go forward, we forget to ask the child to mute the audio. And then we keep asking questions, the child doesn't answer, we get frustrated, and you're saying, why is he not answering? Why is he keeping quiet? And then you realize that that poor child has not put the mute off. So these are small minor things which are given in. So there it's given. So if the children log on without any technical difficulty, please carry out the warmer activity, else carry on with activity 1. So can you move forward, go down, Anusha?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you have activity 1, give them 10 minutes to, so there is an introductory PPT which you would like to show your children, which effectively, gives the children an idea of how the Cambridge tests are, what is the procedure, how many questions are there in listening, how many questions in speaking, reading, etc., etc. You show them the PPT and ask certain questions. So if you look at the extreme right-hand corner, column, if technology doesn't allow you to do that warmer, for an online class, you're going to straight away start with the PPT. But just what I did with you all today, where I cannot really see you all and you're not able to show your screen and you're not able to chat with me, I will do something very, very simple like what I did with you all. In their chat box, ask the children, type your favorite color. They may have spelling mistakes, it doesn't matter. Or favorite animal. Or something like, do you have a pet dog? Just for them to start feeling relaxed and to know that it's going to be fun. So you have activity 1, which are given to both sessions. Yes, Anusha, you can go down.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. Yeah, you can go down some more. I just want to... Yeah, so you have in the teacher's handbook, for most of the activities, we have already embedded the answers. So you don't have to really worry about, and frankly speaking, at that level, it's quite ridiculous to say answer key and all, but sometimes you may want to just be able to ask someone else to check quickly, and you can do that by giving the answer. Okay, so there is one question, how can I download past papers? Well, yeah, the answer you already got from Manish. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, Anusha is just going to scroll through this whole thing. I'm not going to say anything. Just have a look. And after she finishes showing this teacher notes for this particular skill, if there are any questions, ask me. Otherwise, I'm going to do an activity with you. Go ahead, Anusha. Take them right through.
Sure. Before we proceed, I believe there are some net connectivity issues with some of the participants. May I please request you to log off and log in, or try the reconnect button, please. I'm going to scroll through as ma'am said.
Just do it a little slowly, okay?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks.
Let me know whenever you want me to stop. Now, as ma'am said, material required for the particular session is listed on top itself, so you don't have to go and search. This includes your worksheet as well as audio for the worksheet. Audio for corresponding worksheet is given as a link in the worksheet itself, but it's also given as an add-on value. It's given over here also.
1 minute. There is 1 minute, Anusha. There is one person who has said, can we listen to this session again? Can you be more specific? Which session again? Chandima Somasiri. Which session do you want repeated? Okay, never mind. If it is something, if it is to do with teachers' notes, when I take them through that, it should become clearer. Go ahead.
Yes. No, I believe it's the entire session that we are running today. We will be sending the replay link wherein you can view the entire session, if that is the question.
So there's one question, what is the minimum count of kids that is needed to register? The gentleman does not own a school, but he owns an institute. I think Manish or Anusha, you should be able to give them the answer. Please.
Yes. Yeah, I think you will need to get in touch with your center there. It depends on a lot of factors, where you are located and access to the examiners, venue, etc. So whichever is your authorized examination center, you need to get in touch with them. They may be able to combine your students with some existing institutions so that they can sit for the examination.
Okay. Now, yes, Ms. Chandima, the recorded webinar for this session will be sent to your mail ID after a couple of hours today. Okay, on this screen, you can see the transcript. Transcript for the session will either be given within teacher's notes or in teacher's handouts.
Now, this is something I want to I would like to little bit tell you about. I don't know about you teachers, but one of the biggest challenges I had when I used to teach many years back, I never taught listening. Listening was never taught when I became an English teacher. And it's much later on in life I learned that it's very important to formally teach listening. We avoid teaching listening because we have a problem. We used to. It's not now a problem with mobiles and all that. We never could play the audio. We didn't have a tape recorder. We didn't know where to get a tape recorder from. We didn't have loudspeakers, etc., etc. So those days, listening was taught where the teacher used to read out the transcript to the students as if she was the person talking, and the students used to use that teacher's voice as the listening voice. Now you can do this in your classes. If you have any problems with any kind of technology and all, you can read the transcript yourself. You say, okay children, I am going to read something, listen to me, and then answer the questions. Last Sunday, Sam went to visit the news center, blah, 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 blah. So you do the reading and let the students answer. So transcript becomes a very handy tool for you all to use in your classes. Yes, Anusha, carry on. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, would you like to talk about important things to remember and additional skill set, ma'am, for the session if they have time?
These are things you need to, okay. In the trainer notes, there will be certain things at the end of each session as to what you need to make sure you need to keep in mind when you're doing that session. It's like, making a list of checklists. Have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? When you make your lesson plans, when we make our lesson plans, we say, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, etc., etc. So, but it's given here, so you don't really have to worry about it. For example, it says you need to make sure the children read the question prompts before they listen. So you're going to tell the children, we're going to do a listening activity, blah, 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 blah. First, read the questions. And then you're going to carry on. So this is just a little bit of more support for you all when you'll use the teacher notes.
Okay, ma'am. Now I believe it's time to start off with your activity.
That's right. So now before, you can get back. We'll get back to the slide. Is there any question on the trainer notes now? Otherwise, what I'm going to do is, you have a teacher's notes with you all, which you have downloaded. If you can keep it in front of you. Am I audible? There's some of them who are saying someone has said I can't hear you.
You are loud and clear, ma'am.
Sarita, Chaure, can you let me know if you can hear me, because you have said not audible, ma'am. Okay, I hope she can hear me, otherwise she can listen to them. So now if you look at the teacher's notes in front of you, this is a speaking activity I have selected this time, because even though children today speak a lot, and frankly speaking, they don't have any inhibitions, because that's what they are. But statistics and data tell us that as they go up the Cambridge level, excuse me, one of the challenges they face in speaking not just correct English, but speaking with a kind of confidence. So in any case, I'm taking, just give me a minute, please. I'll just have a sip of water.
Yes, ma'am, take your time. Now, you all must have received material. Please download it. I hope you have downloaded and kept it ready. You should have received two sets of documents. One is the teacher's notes, and the other one is the worksheet. Please have an access to both. I'm also going to keep teachers' notes ready on the system. I'm going to share screen now.
Yeah, go ahead. Now, all of you are teaching, or most of you are teaching in schools with different kinds of boards. Some of you are teaching in state boards, some of you are teaching in CBSE, some of you are teaching, if you're from Tamil Nadu and all, what are so-called the matriculation board. In Sri Lanka, you have your own board. Maldives have your same board. So all of you are teaching in different boards, and you have your own textbook. Now, this is one activity where you can actually use your regular class textbook as a resource for this activity. So there are two procedures. The first part of the session take 10 minutes, but we can take more. It doesn't matter. As I told you before, I'm not hung up on time. You need to make sure the course is finished and children are ready for the Cambridge test. Before the activity, before you come into this activity, you plan this activity by selecting an appropriate picture from your textbook. Very colorful one, very nice one, and which has something which shows a lot of things. For example, you can show group of children playing cricket in the field, or you can show a garden with lots of flowers, birds, children running around. Any appropriate picture you can select and use it for this particular activity. And the activity can begin with saying, now we were going to talk about pictures today, and we are going to try part of the A1 mover speaking test. So this part of the test is a part of the speaking test in movers where children have to actually describe a picture. And they have to look at pictures and talk about differences and all. So you can begin with a warmer like this by bringing in their own textbook and using this activity. And then see, the thing with children and even adults, I think at every stage in our life, even now, for example, me, I'll give you an example. I need scaffolding, I need support. And I mean, in these webinars, which I do for Cambridge, though I only do webinars for them, incidentally. For Cambridge, I get a whole lot of support from so many people whom I can't mention your names now, but people like Anusha, who's always at the back. There are people like Joshua who comes in and acts as, helps me with my technical issues, etc., etc. That is scaffolding. Scaffolding means support. So you need to always support your students at every stage in their learning. We are not here to, make fun of the child and say, oh, you didn't even know this. You don't know this is a bird. No, that is not that's definitely not what we do. I know we have teachers in higher classes especially who have this tendency to talk down, but that's not what it is. You need to support your students positively. So what we need to do is, you put up some helpful language which are required for this part of the test. But you begin by saying, when you begin a test, a speaking test, what is the first thing you're going to be asked? And you will see in your handout, there are two important questions. What's your name and how old are you? So you put it up on one side of the board and just randomly ask, what's your name? Very good. And how old are you, Rita? That's it. So, just get them to give answers to you with confidence and with the right sort of an inflection in their tone. Do the same for an online class. Greet them, whether it's afternoon, morning, evening or something. Ask them to wave if they can see you, or use the button wave, raise your hands. Zoom has, this Microsoft team has that thing. Tell them to, and then do the same thing. Put up on your whiteboard those two questions and just randomly ask, what's your name? How old are you? Then on the other side of the board, you're going to write down some phrases they can use when they are talking about two pictures. They're comparing two pictures. So you can, if you look at your worksheets, there are phrases like here, there is, or there are, it's raining, windy, sunny, whatever options, the man, the woman or the boy is eating. Depending on what kind of picture you are showing, you can put up these stem and ask them to just make sentences with the stems by looking at the picture you're showing them. So if you're telling them here, there is, ask them to complete the sentence with something from the picture. So that's the first part of the activity. And for this, we have given about 10 minutes time. Is it too little? I don't know. Is it too much? I don't know. You will know, because that's what you are there for. Then you, with the same picture which you have in your hand from the textbook, you practice a little bit more with the children by showing up that picture. Everyone has opened their picture to page 82, right? Children, you've got page 82, right? Now this is the picture we are talking about. So then you randomly ask, can you see the bike in the park? If the child says no, ask, Anush, can you tell Deepak whether there's a bike in the park or not? Now you don't give the answer. Let Anush tell Deepak. So there is peer practice, peer in learning going on, and one telling the other. So these are things which automatically will come into play when you start doing these kind of activities. And support from each other, peers supporting each other will come in. Now, after you finish this part of the activity, you tell the students that we are now going to describe a picture, activity which we are going to do. And before you do that, you put the students into pairs. Now, if in an online platform, breakout rooms are available, you can put students in pairs. And if you don't want, if you can't have so many breakout rooms, you can put them into pairs of groups of 6, and within that let them pair up and work with each other. And ask them, now say, please open your worksheet 21. And can you all click on that worksheet 21 which you have? I've requested you all to download. Right. So please tell them to go through the worksheet. Anusha, is it possible for you to put up worksheet 21 on the slide?
Yes, ma'am. I'll have to toggle. Just give me a moment.
I'll give you time. Just put it up. Yeah, so this is the challenge with an online class. You see, there are these little time lags, and with children especially, they may just switch off. So you need to make sure that you keep their attention by some way or the other. I normally would say, okay, let's have a poll, and I would put up a poll question. Like, for example, give them 4 choices. Which part of Chennai do you come from? A, B, C, D. And I'll ask them to click. Okay, here is the worksheet. Now I'll tell them, look at the picture for 2 minutes. Don't talk to each other, children. I just want you to look at the pictures. And look for the differences between them. This is the one. Just keep this. Yeah, just keep this. Tell them they're not to talk to their partners, but they can show their partners the differences they can see, right? Now, then tell them, please remember the worksheet, the trainer notes, I have it in front, and I'm actually using that to guide me. Right, children, remember no speaking, you can point out the differences. There are about 7 differences in this. Now, I don't have to tell them that. I can actually ask a pair. Any pair from any breakout room, whichever you have joined. Now, if you can't do this in a breakout room, you can do it with all the children logged on together, like we are logged on now, with our breakout room, and you can tell them, okay, who can type in the number of differences you all can see. Don't ask them what the differences are. Just ask them to type in the number of differences they can see. So you will have the child children typing in whatever they can see. And then there will be, I'm sure many of them would have got it right. You say, yes, brilliant. There are 7 differences in this picture. Now you talk to each other with your partner about what are the differences you can see. And then you give an example, scaffold again. You can point at this and say, the boy in this picture is blah, 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 blah. But in this picture, he is blah, 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 blah. I'm not giving you answers. But this is what you will do. Give them about 4 to 5 minutes to talk about the differences. They don't have to write. Remember, it's a speaking activity. Let them focus on speaking. And your focus is just to go around and pick up what they're talking and note down errors in terms of maybe structure, maybe pronunciation. Don't worry. Structure this is it's a minor error as long as they are able to convey thoughts clearly. But definitely pronunciation is something you need to listen to. And also help them to ask each other if they can't hear. I don't understand if they don't understand what the other person is trying to say. Or someone can't hear. Can you repeat that, please? These polite phrases, please practice with them, because even in a real exam, when they're doing a speaking exam, they can ask these questions to the interlocutor. And actually, when children ask such questions, the assessor is delighted because it shows the child is pretty comfortable in the use of English. And that's what we're looking for at this age, that whether they are able to respond and so on and so forth. And you may also want to take the children through the different ways they can express differences. For example, you can say, in this, the boy is playing ball with the dolphin. In this, I don't know, maybe the boy is playing with the dolphin, I can't make out. So if the child says that, and also the way I said it, these are different ways that you can use in your structures for children to get used to it. You can say, here he is eating a sandwich, here he is eating chips. In this picture, she's got purple boots on. In this picture, she's got red shoes on. In this picture, I can see clouds. In this picture, there are no clouds. In this picture, there's a sun. In this picture, there's no sun. Things like this, you can ask them to talk about. The key is given. Simple language is acceptable throughout. And try and encourage your students to talk as much as possible and just not monosyllabic things. Sun, cloud. Green, 2, 3 plants, 2 bottles. Things like this. Don't make them use proper sentences. And then at the end of it, you will find the things you need to remember. You remember to ask the students whether ask the children to reflect on the activity by asking them the following questions. What should you say to the examiner at the start of the test? Now, you can say hello, but you can also say good morning. So if the child says, good morning, ma'am, that's what she'll say at the start of the test. Brilliant, fine. Don't go there and say, no, I want you to say hello. No, not required. As long as the child knows how to respond to a greeting. So if the examiner says, hello, Alfred, obviously Alfred is going to say hello. But if the examiner says, good afternoon, Alfred, Alfred will say, good afternoon, ma'am. So, focus on these aspects of greetings. And then you can also, remember this is right at the beginning of the speaking module, where you are preparing students for the speaking. So this is when you will tell them there will be only one person in the room with you who will be the examiner, and that you will not do the test with anybody else. You're going to do it alone, only with the exam. These are small things. There are, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is a video of a sample test which you play right at the beginning before you start speaking, for children to know how the speaking test is conducted. Anusha, am I right? There is a sample test, right?
Yes, ma'am. There is a
Yeah,
sample paper.
right, right. So, and then at the end of it, you can tell them specifically about the part of the test. You say you need to only find 4 differences, blah, blah, blah. You can go through that. That's not the main purpose. The main purpose is how are you going to make them speak about the differences. Then, you follow this up with make them write out the differences in their road book just to reinforce the vocabulary. And then you give the, do some more activity based on differences, and you can use your classroom, or you can actually do things like you take out 3 children and you you make one child remove one shoe, you make the other child come without 2 shoes, things like that. Bring them back and say, okay, now what are the differences? Use the actual classroom setting to do an activity like this. At the end of it, there are follow-up activities which you can click on and which you will be able to go through. So this is just to give you a sort of going through one activity in detail with you all. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to ask me. Otherwise, I will request Anusha to put back the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Any questions? Any clarification on the handout? I mean, teacher's notes, anything you feel could be challenging in that? Anything you want more clarification? Please do let me know. Any questions coming up, Anusha?
Nothing as of now, ma'am.
You're right, Sridevi. There is one teacher who said, I think teachers should not allow them to comment about physical differences. No, you don't have to comment on physical differences. But suppose you have 2 children, one child has got long hair and that same child in the other picture has got short hair. Aren't you going to say, in this she's got long hair, in this she's got short hair? I just want to tell you, teachers, please be absolutely assured, Cambridge exams are very, very, very not just child friendly, they are child supportive, and they are very, very conscious of cultural nuances across the world. So just don't worry about it. If I have given you an example from the use of your class textbooks, which you think is shouldn't have been, then that's the fault lies with me, not with Cambridge. Please be very, very rest assured, Cambridge will not ask for any such comparisons or differences. I mean, you're definitely not going to get a picture where you have a child from a child black in color and a child white in color and asking you to show. Definitely it's a no. Be very, very work about it. There are absolutely no problems. Right. I hope I've answered that particular question. Yes, Sridevi, these are the kind of activities you use in English communication classes. But why do we have to have a formal English communication class if you do all these activities in your regular English classroom? That would be my question to you. Why do we now, I mean, when we grew up, when we were in class, there was no such thing as a communication class. All our communication was learnt in an English lesson. And that's exactly what you should be actually doing. You don't need to have a separation. We have, what has happened is, many schools have they're well off, they have these the computer rooms, they have computer labs, and there they say we're having a communication classes, and we take children there, spend a lot of time there. Definitely very useful, lots of fun children have, and it's a break from your regular period. But if these same activities are done in your regular English classes, you are achieving two purposes. Not only will your communication improve, but their language proficiency will go up, and that both are interlinked. I mean, and I'm sorry, but just doing an English communication classes does not guarantee that the child's language proficiency goes up. It isn't that very directly related. So just, I know you'll do a lot of things and very well done. You'll have many more activities, which is very good. But see if you could use some of these in your regular classrooms. Any other questions? Shaheen, for listening, of course you can use whatever resource you want, but if you're preparing children for Cambridge exam, it's very nice for you to use Cambridge resources, because children will get used to the kind of recordings which Cambridge uses, the kind of voices they use for their activities. Okay, so we have one thing Sangeeta is asking me about, a grade 8 child who is not able to read grade 2 books. And the challenge is not the child's, the challenge is the parents and the teachers. Now, obviously this child's language proficiency is at a grade 2 level. As a teacher, if you have the luxury, start giving the child lower grade story books to read. Story books which a grade 2 child can enjoy reading. Let the child start enjoying reading. If the child is going to struggle, every time open the book and she can't read 3 words out of that, the child is not going to read. The child will just switch off. So you need to give the child, a lot of support by making the child read interesting things at a much lower level and slowly going ahead. And the same thing the parents should do at home. The parents shouldn't say, oh, what is this? This is a child's baby's book. Don't read this. I want you to read that. And they pick up the books and tell the child, that's not going to help the child. Definitely not. So you need it. See, unfortunately, we need to invest in a lot of time and patience with children who are slow learners. And I really wish we could have, extra time with them. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury, but these are some of the things you could do.
Okay, there is one question from Ms. Shaheen.
Yeah.
For listening, can we use our resources or Cambridge resources?
I just gave her the answer that she can use any resources, but if preparing students for Cambridge exam, try and use resources given by Cambridge, at least some of them, it will be very useful.
Okay, fine. So
there is how to integrate these activities. Now let's look at this particular speaking activity which we did. Even before doing it as differences, if you can just show up the picture and say, okay, children, name whatever things you can see in this picture. Make them write it out. And then in their books, make them make 2 columns and make them write one which they like to see and 1 column things which they don't like to see. Let them use their own creativity. And then tell them to take 1 word from column A and make a sentence with that, and 1 word from column B and make a sentence. That will be their writing activity based on the same thing. As far as listening goes, you can say, okay, I am going to read something about this picture. You tell me whether the sentence is true or false. And you read the sentence. There are 3 children in this picture. Actually, there are only 2 children. So then let the children listen and shout out, no, false. So you're making them listen. So this is the way you can integrate the skills in your classroom. So you actually touch on all the 3 skills. We are not talking about writing as a very, very formal skill at this level, but actually you will be using all 4 skills when you make them read the words on the board and write it. Okay, I hope that was answered some of your questions.
I believe we can move forward now.
Okay, we are nearly at the end of it.
Yeah.
So then, if hopefully many of you will want to prepare students for the YLE, as I told you, you will have practice tests given to you, and that is part of your 40-hour package. You have, in fact, if I remember rightly, Anusha will correct me because I remember working on the material. For each skill, I've given one sample. That is, you finish listening, then you have a sample, you finish speaking, etc. Speaking is the only one which is a challenge. I'll come to that. And reading. And at the end of it, we have one consolidated sample test where you can, conduct it in real test surroundings sort of thing and do it. Now, as far as speaking is concerned, there are rubrics given to you as to the kind of questions you want to ask the children. And we've also given you task cards for them. What you need to do is get into groups. You go and sit in groups of 6 and conduct the exam, simultaneously with 6 kids, so that you can, otherwise you will not have time to do this with all the children. So these are some ways you can do the speaking test in your class. I've given directions for that in your teacher's notes too. Right. Any other questions? Okay. So you have the test, and then you have a whole lot of additional teaching materials. Just go enjoy yourself having for me, the challenge today is when I'm asked to do something and I just go into Cambridge to look at the teaching resource, I just don't know what to use. I say, okay, let me use this. No, I think this is a better one. So it's very challenging and very difficult for us to finally decide on what. But yes, you will have a lot of ideas from these particular resources. Okay, there is one person who said, how can we conduct listening activity in digital class? As long as the children, Vanilla, can hear your audio and you have already sent them the worksheet, then all that you have to do is say, okay, listen to this audio which I'm going to play and answer the questions in your worksheet. Now, suppose you have a problem playing the audio, then read the transcript. Say, I'm going to read something, listen to it, and answer the question. So that's how you could do it in your digital class. Right. I think I'm now going to sort of ask you for any final questions, anything you want to comment on before I go to my last activity. Okay, now, no more questions? Anything, Anusha, you want to say, or Manish wants to say, or anybody?
No, we are fine, ma'am.
Right? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Remember, we began the day by asking you, what was your mood? Now, in this last activity, I don't want you to say what your mood is. All that I want you to type in is, has your mood improved or become worse? So you just have to write improved or you have to write worse. And that's all I want you all to write. Let's see. How many of you's mood has gone up the scale and how many of you's mood has come down the scale? Let's have your answers to that. Okay, improved, great, right? Good. Mine has improved tremendously. Let me tell you that from what it was at the beginning to part of the session, I'm actually quite innovative, right? So thank you very much. And here is the candidate support pack. We'll just, it's the same thing. There are lots of lovely puzzles. Now this support pack is over and more than what you can do with your children. You have puzzles, you have learning activities, there's a word list book along with this. Beautiful. And if you have little kids at home, nothing like getting this downloaded and using them. I'm not going to go through this because we've already done how you can make the best, but there are some suggestions given here. You can just want to note it down, just note it down. Just my only final thing is, again, I'm requesting you all. No, request is a wrong word. I would just share my experience. Just use these activities in your general English classroom too. Please, you'll find how much the learning climate improves in your classes. I'm sure the children are enjoying having you all. They will enjoy it much more. And they'll say, we only want English classes. We don't want any other classes. We only want English class. That will be the response you'll get from your students. Okay, thank you, Anusha. I'm winding up.
Yes, ma'am. We are towards the last slide.
Oh, okay.
How teachers can help parents.
Yeah. So this is what parents can help students to use the pack effectively.
The most important thing is please go through the manual completely before you start. Ensure that all parents have candidate support pack with them. Help them understand how to download tools, because for digital worksheets, they'll have to walk through the video on how to download tools and use those tools. And advisors inform parents well in advance the worksheet which you've planned for the week, so that they are aware and they download only those worksheets which are required for the session.
Actually, the thing about informing parents, in your teacher's notes, you will have those little guidelines on online teaching. Send the worksheets to the parents in advance, ask them to download it, make them keep it ready. It's already given there just to reinforce in case for some reason you have forgotten to tell them, So that's it.
Okay, the entire candidate support pack and teacher support pack, as Manish said, it is available. You just need to contact your Cambridge coordinator. In case of queries, please write to this mail ID. If ma'am has finished, Manish might want to take over.
Right.
Yes, just a note of thanks. Thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful session. Another wonderful session, I must say. Seeing the comments there, I'm sure they will have a lovely weekend and a good evening today after the session. These are all complimentary resources from Cambridge. There were questions on the cost, etc. These are complimentary resources which will help you prepare candidates for the Cambridge Young Learners Test, though they are 40 hours program, as ma'am said. But then it is not mandatory that you use them for the whole of 40 hours. You can use 40 hours, 10 hours, as much as your work schedule permits you to use them. So these resources are in addition to the resources that are already available on our website. Anusha and Uma ma'am have put in a lot of effort in preparing, consolidating, getting the right resources, ensuring that these are helpful during these times, because there were a lot of requests from schools that since they are not having face-to-face classes, how can they prepare candidates? And these are not, there was one valid question to say, where will we get time? And ma'am did answer that question to say that it makes sense that you do it along with your regular classes. it should ideally complement for a couple of school groups or institutions that we work with, where this program is a part of the curriculum. We have tried to do a mapping exercise to see how these kind of skills map with the existing curriculum, where the gaps are and what additional can be done. So we have done it for a couple of school groups who have made it as part of the curriculum. So for getting these resources or these materials, please do check with your Cambridge resource person at the institution, check with your center, or you can write to the email ID that has been given here. We can send you the link for these materials, right? I hope I have not missed out on anything, except telling you that my name is Manish and I work Cambridge Investment English, and I lead on the business development front. And feel free to write to us if you think there is additional support that you would require during these times to train your students for Cambridge English examinations. And we wish you all the best, and we would want you to stay safe and take care. Thank you, Anusha. Thank you, Uma ma'am, for the lovely session today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks, everyone. In a couple of hours, you will receive a recording of the session along with the feedback link. Please fill that feedback. That will help us do a better session next time. Please come up with suggestions on how we can improve. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule on a Saturday afternoon and sitting through the session. Hope to see you all again. Thank you.